Hi there. Today we are going to be talking about how to overcome frustration after being stuck in the same role for several years. Now, feeling stuck in the same role for years can really be disheartening. It could be frustrating, and ultimately, for some people, it could lead to low self-esteem if not managed properly. But I think it's time to take action and reclaim your career. Remember, taking small steps can lead to significant career breakthroughs. So hey, don't let frustration define your career journey. Instead, let's use motivation and pursue the fulfillment that you deserve. So here are 10 things you could do if you've been stuck in the same role for years. The first thing is identify what is within your control. Many times, if you look and if you speak to people who have been on the same role for 5, 6, 10 years, I have people who I have spoken to who have been on the same role for 13 years. Over time, you find out that a lot of your concern are things you cannot control. Things like whether your boss will like you or not. That's not something you can control. Things like how your boss will react to your deliverable. You don't have a control over that. What you can control is you can control the quality of the deliverable you send to your boss. So rather than spend so much time focusing on, oh my God, how is he going to like this? Is he not going to like this? Why not just spend the time on how can I ensure that the quality of this deliverable that I am about to send out, whether it's a report, whatever it is of the highest level of quality. That is within my control. And I think the more you focus on things you can control, for example, your emotion, how do you react when you are getting feedback from your boss? That is within your control. I was speaking to someone who worked in one of the biggest consulting companies, and the challenge they kept having with this individual was they said, according to the person, the feedback was her reaction when she's been given feedback. It just did not sit well with the bosses. Now, make of it what you will, but body language for certain people is important. They felt that her body language was communicating the fact that she was not being receptive. But guess what? She actually wrote down action points to follow through to be able to do the things they said she should do. But eventually, the reason why she kept acting that way was because she genuinely thought that the bosses did not like her. So unconsciously, she already had a certain demeanor towards them. The second is set new goals in other growth areas. One of the mistakes of career people is that we think that our whole life really depends on what you do on 9 to 5. Your entire happiness cannot hinge solely on the success of your career. It's like a man standing on one leg. When you take out that leg, he crumbles to the ground, or sitting on a chair that should have 4 legs, but somehow he happens to have 1 or 2. And so when one is taken out, he crumbles to the ground. It's important as someone who has a 9 to 5 job to have goals in other areas of your life, such that achieving the goals and achieving success in those other areas brings you joy and happiness. And that way, you don't have so much negativity from not being promoted in your 9 to 5. The third one, learn a new skill. I think it is important while you are in that phase where you've not been promoted for a long time, probably the job has gotten actually maybe a bit boring. It's important within that time to learn a new skill. This can open new doors of opportunity to you. Hey, before we go on to the next point, have you clicked on the subscribe button? Please click on the subscribe button, like the video, help with the YouTube algorithm. The fourth thing is do an honest self-assessment. Within that period, ask yourself 2 questions. What role have I played in keeping me at this level for this long? Because many times we kind of point the finger at other people, but if we introspect and say, what role have I played? That way you begin to learn lessons that help you begin to come out of that place. The second question to ask yourself during self-assessment is, have I genuinely added value? And what is the feedback from my peers? The reason why this is important is because while you may think that your bosses have their own opinion, sometimes it's good to also speak to your peers and find out what exactly it is they think about your work. That way, you also get some sort of balanced opinion. But this is important to do a self-assessment and say, look, have I been adding value the way I perceive value, or have I been adding value in a way that the company demands value? Another thing I think is important is to seek mentorship. Find a mentor who is able to provide guidance and tell you, hey, look, what exactly do you do in your office? You talk the person through. And then they are able to say, what exactly does the organization do? I mean, I could give a simple example here. One of the people that I mentor was on the same role for, I think, about 4.5 years. And this is a company where they promote every year. Okay, so this was not one of the companies that had a flat structure. This one they promote every year. And it was interesting that this particular person had been doing a job, okay, and felt that this was time for my promotion. What we found out when we finished the sessions was, one, you have technically been doing the exact same thing for the last 4 years. The company has been increasing your salary by a particular percentage to be able to make for inflation adjustment. So in their mind, you have not added anything new to the way you have been going about it. The individual then showed me a few new reports and things that, he had put forward. But we found out that all those things were told to him by his line manager. So from an innovative perspective, nothing really had come from bottom up. And so we had to start having a different strategy around how to be more proactive and how to be in alignment with the company strategy. The next thing is network. Building and maintaining professional relationships is huge currently in 2025. You cannot do without it. Okay, it is important to join professional group. It is important to go for networking event. One of the people who I spoke to recently, who also had a challenge and had been in Cameroon, I think, for 6 years, I found that within those 6 years, this person had not gone for any professional event. This person had not put her post on LinkedIn. It's interesting because if you think those things do not matter in 2025, then you're wrong, because they really do matter. Visibility is important. And networking, meeting your peers, finding out what opportunities there are in your industry, what trends there are very helpful in moving to your next level. Another thing you could do if you want to overcome frustration from being stuck in the same role, I think you should volunteer to take on new projects. One of the things that get people frustrated in their role is because they are just sick and tired of doing the exact same thing. So why not volunteer to take on a new project? Take on a new task. You never know. This will showcase your ability and highlight your potential for more advanced roles. So because you've been doing the same thing many times, employers think, oh, well, that's what you're doing. But if you volunteer for something that is a bit out of your comfort zone and say, hey, I can support with that, they see that you are able to take things on another level. One time, I used to be the head of information security for a particular company. And this was several years ago. This was sometime in 2017, 2018. And there was a challenge because all I knew was information security. Conversations about data privacy had just started. Okay, GDPR just came out. And so there was going to be an audit of our data privacy. And so everyone was campaigning to see who is going to lead this audit and who is going to stand as the single point of contact. The company wanted someone who understood things about data privacy. Now, I had no idea about privacy. I thought in my mind that it should be the legal department who should be the people to step up. But that's what I did step up. And I led the initiative, I was able to do a preparatory review before they came based on standards that were publicly available. And that significantly played a role in my growth in that company. Because think about it, several years down the line, first, the knowledge that I gained is mine. And I'm thriving in that field. So you never know, okay? Be open to take up new projects. Next thing I think you should do is have an open and honest conversation with your line manager, not an emotional one. Open and honest. And ask questions. More importantly, listen. Ask questions like, how can I improve on what I'm doing? What are your expectations? Have I met those expectations? How do I exceed those expectations? From a strategic perspective, what is the company expecting our team to deliver? You pick up those ideas and you go and write out action points on how you exceed those expectations, both from the company and from your line manager. I think that that's important. Another thing I think you should do is speak with friends that inspire you. One of the challenges of this generation is that when you come and say you have a problem and you say things like, oh my God, I have this challenge, I have not been promoted in 6 years. There are two types of friends you could have. You could either have the friends that come and say, oh, 6 years, boy, you're doing great. I have not been promoted in 11 years. So it becomes a competition for who is more miserable. Now, the other kind of friend you could have is 6 years. Oh, why? Why is that? Okay, what are you doing? Are you attending industry events? Have you updated your CV? Are you reaching out to recruiters? Oh, it's going to get better. You have friends that cheer you up. So that's one of the things I think you should do. The people you speak to during this time are very important. They could either make or break you. Another thing I think you should do is consider lateral moves. Lateral moves simply mean thin level move, probably same salary, different company, or within the same company. I know someone who I advised to do this several years ago. He had been in the same role for a long time. And the reason he had actually not moved was because he was expecting this huge leap and huge salary increase in the place he was going to go. And the offers kept coming and we're giving him the same thing. But guess what? Those offers kept coming and going. He stayed in that company and he stayed there for 6 years on the same level. Eventually, he decided to make a lateral move. And 3 years down the line, he was promoted twice in the new place he went to. Why? Because some of the bosses he used to report to had to relocate quickly. And the company simply thought that he was capable of doing what the bosses were doing. And that's how he moved. Within 3 years, he moved twice in that role. So a lateral move sometimes, just a change of environment, change of line manager, change of company would also help you. And finally, stay positive, okay? Stay positive and be patient. Remember that overcoming frustration is a journey that requires continuous effort and a positive mindset. If you've tried any of these steps before, let us know in the comment section. And if you've not, do you want to give it a try? Let's also know which ones worked for you and which ones didn't work for you. Thank you very much. I'll see you at the next episode.